Hello, I'm Philip Brunelle, Artistic Director and founder of Vocal Lessons and Organist Choirmaster at Plymouth Congregational Church. So each day I've selected a composer who's had a role to play with both organizations. Today it is the British composer Geoffrey Bush. Born in 1920, died in 1998. He was not only a composer, he was a teacher and a pianist. He taught at Oxford University and London University and studied with John Ireland, and the two of them were friends for life. He was also famous as a broadcaster on BBC music programs. He wrote music for orchestra, opera, chorus, 2 symphonies. As a boy, he was a chorister at Salisbury Cathedral. He also edited a number of songs of Perry and Stanford, wrote books on these composers, and unusually, he was also interested in detective fiction and collaborated with a man named Bruce Montgomery, who wrote under the pseudonym Edmund Crispin to write a detective novel. I love that kind of difference and the things that they did. Well, Bush wrote a number of wonderful choral pieces. The one that we've done at Plymouth Church is called Gabriel of High Degree, which was a piece of music, a carol that used traditional words. And the words Ave Fit ex Eva. So just think of it, A-V-E, and then at the end, E-V-A. So you could reverse those. And in the medieval thought about this poetry, Ave Fit ex Eva, the idea was that it was a double meaning. Ave, meaning hail, Eva, meaning Eve, and so the idea was that the angel received the sins of Eva and transformed them. It's a kind of strange kind of thing, but many composers set Ave Fit ex Eva, including Geoffrey Bush, who wrote a very boisterous setting of it, which begins, you get the idea of that kind of writing. Well, he also composed a terrific set of songs, a little cycle called Day Star in Winter, the texts being by Charles Causley. And if you don't know the name of Charles Causley, please look him up. He's no longer alive, but he wrote wonderful poetry, C-A-U-S-L-E-Y. I had hoped to meet him one trip when I was in England. He lived out in the western part of England. And I made arrangements, and the day I was to meet him, I called up and he said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I have a terrible toothache, and I can't see you," which is too bad because I never then did meet Charles Causley. But he set a whole bunch of poems, which were called Day Star in Winter, and one of them, which is one about King Herod, begins with this: "Who's that knocking on the window? Who's that standing at the door? What are all those presents lying on the kitchen floor? Who is the smiling stranger with hair as white as gin? What is he doing with the children? And who could have let him in?" It goes on from there. Well, Geoffrey Bush has made this a very march-like piece. kind of music. Well, on the other hand, the piece that I first knew of his was a Christmas cantata called just that, a Christmas cantata. And there was a movement in it that I found so beautiful, and we have performed it a number of times, both at Plymouth Church and with Vocal Essence. It's a setting of the little Czech carol that begins, but what he has done to make this beautiful carol into a kind of beautiful rhapsody is what I love about it. So it begins with the strings or the organ, and then one voice comes in. And then the women. And then an interlude. And then all of the singers. Tenors. Soprano solo. Women. Music of Geoffrey Bush. And I don't want to conclude without saying a big thank you to my son Tim, who has been my videographer for these many sessions. So to all of you, have a wonderful day.